So this is a part where I admit I made a huge mistake. Millimeters of room here. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So I decided to take the Marin, East Peak, my Marin East Peak that I converted with an e-bike conversion kit and mid-mount motor. I converted that to an e-bike, right? Well, sort of an e-bike. I mean, it's got a motor, it's got a battery, it's an e-bike, right? Anyway, I couldn't get a dropper post for that, at least not easily. And it was 26-inch wheels and it was a 20-year-old frame. So I wanted to take my Himalo, my AliExpress frame, and turn that into an e-bike. Problem was, it had the bash guard ring around the bottom bracket. So I couldn't get the motor in there. So I thought to myself, well, I really like that frame. It's 27.5-inch, but it's modernish, right? It's going to be a lot better than the Marin. But, the bash guard mount was there around the bottom bracket, so the motor wouldn't fit in. So I decided to get a tool, and I cut that sucker off. I mean, it's just aluminum, right? It was actually a lot easier than I thought, and I filed it down, and it was smoothish, and then the motor would fit, right? No. So the motor went in, but then there were some pieces of the motor assembly itself, some mounting brackets that I didn't use that were in the way. So, I mean, there goes that, right? Wrong. Wrong again. I use this tool to cut it off. It's magnesium or just cheap steel. So yeah, that wasn't that bad either. So first cut, yes, it goes in there. Oh no, but now the triangle is in the way. The rear triangle. So I got to cut it again. So yes, I cut it again. I actually cut it 2 more times. Finally got that junk out of the way. So yes, I got the motor on there, but the rear triangle, the rear suspension is compressed. So there's sag built right into the rear triangle. Why? Well, because this piece right here, the bottom part of the rear triangle, is sitting on the motor. So what I had to do, after I cut this thing down, is I had to let all the air out of the shock. I had to take it off. I had to lift it up, and then I was able to get it in there and put this on there. But this right here is resting right on the motor. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see right in here. So you see that right in here? That's where I cut it off. And you can see that is sitting right on it. So we're losing millimeters. So what's happening there? Well, we got it on there, but this is a little compressed. So we're losing some height. I mean, we've just lost some height. So we're losing a little suspension over here, but we're losing, more importantly, height. Now look, here's some of the junk I cut off. So this is, the bash guard mount right there. Look at that. Let's chewed that sucker right up. This is one of the pieces for the motor mount. So you can see right there. You see right there? It's like die cast almost. It wasn't like solid steel, which is interesting. Maybe it's lighter. It's most definitely cheaper. So here we go. Here's our Fuker pedals. We got on the arm there, and you can see that, well, that's looks a little different, right? So we're losing some of that distance here, right? What happens with that? Well, we get really low clearance. So let's measure the pedal clearance. You can see we have about, to the bottom of the pedal, 11 millimeters. That's it, just 11 millimeters of room here. That's what we got. So we're not working with a lot there. Let's check from the bottom of the motor. Look at that. We have about 17 millimeters from the bottom of the motor, which is, that's pretty tight. That's pretty tight. Not a lot going on there. So you can see I got everything routed on here. You know, everything's coming through here. That's not really a problem. It doesn't get crimped. We got our little sensor back there. Got some zip ties on that. We're using some silicone zips right there to bring that up. We got our battery pack over here. No problem there. Down below, I thought, hey, let's use some wire hider, right? So, I mean, largely it worked. You can see that part right there. That connection was a little big. I'm probably gonna have to zip tie that to keep it closed. But it largely hit the wires and it kind of matches the frame. Got the bundle of wires up there. They're all tucked in there. And then there we have our controller. So you can see we got the whole thing set up. You know, there's the battery again. And here's the, you know, old Sparky. I took the switch off, so now you plug it in, you get a nice little zap. But so we got the whole thing on there. It's all put together. These are 170s right here, and that's one of the reasons why we're only getting 11 millimeters from the ground to the bottom of the pedal. Now, to say that we're going to get pedal strikes is an understatement. This thing is going to drag on everything. And that's without my body on it, so it might come down even more. So I have some 152 millimeter arms on order from Amazon. I think they're going to be here next week. So we're gonna shorten this up by quite a bit, give us a little bit more. I'm not going to take this on the trail until I get a little bit more room, because I got to tell you, this frame already had a fair amount of pedal strikes, and part of the reason is the 27.5-inch wheels. I mean, I probably should have gotten the 29-inch frame, but you know, what's done is done. I'm largely happy with the frame, but losing some of the height from sitting on this motor, and then just, you know, being a 27 and the long arms, I mean, it's kind of sort of, I'm gonna say dangerous, but yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe this is like fire road worthy, but taking it on the trail right now, yeah, not gonna happen. But hey, let's take it out for a quick spin, you know, around the block, so you can see, you know, exactly what's going on, right? Well, you can see just from that quick little trip around the block there, you can see that one turn on the sidewalk. You heard the scraping. I mean, I hope you did, because that's what's going to happen out on the trail. Except I'm going to catch a root and I'm going to go flying. So, I mean, I think that proves the point that this is way too low. And, you know, when I get the new cranks, they're going to be a lot shorter, almost 20 millimeters shorter. So we'll wait until those come in and we'll install them. Then we'll try this out on the trail. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. I'll see you out on the trail.